unless there's anything else you guys want to add on the bubble, we might as well get stuck into Moana Pasifika because they were one team we didn't really give too much attention to last week on the preview show.
Yeah, they're just, it's that great unknown. It's similar to the draw, you know. We don't know what to expect. They've got a couple of big names, you know, who Susakopi Kipu was announced captain yesterday, so he's going to be sort of like a real, play that leadership role. I read yesterday that he sort of, when he came back to New Zealand, he wasn't even really expecting to play rugby again, so he's got straight back into it. And I'm excited to sort of see what they can do. There's plenty of excitement in that back line, maybe lacking a bit in the forward pack. But Leon Fano and McClatchy, it'll be interesting to see what they do with those two. I imagine they'll have to play both of them, probably McClatchy at 10 and Leon Fano at 12, because he's played a bit of 12 in the past, isn't he?
He has been in the 12. I prefer him in the 10.
Yeah.
But
especially, sorry to cut you off there, Paul, but just with such an inexperienced side at Super Rugby level, like obviously McClatchy was great for Hawke's Bay, but I think you need that calm head of Lealiafano, especially in the early games. Like a lot of these guys are going in pretty cold turkey. Maybe, I think we'll see Lealiafano start at 10 early in the season, and then they can sort of ease McClatchy in. Yeah.
I'm sure McClatchy will get some game time. First of all, probably coming off the bench, but I do see them playing around with him at 10 and Lealiafano at 12. So, look, they've got a smattering of experience in the squad. As you said, Kepu is the captain. And I think I think the sort of, I guess, the mana that he brings to the team, I think he'll be able to rally the troops behind him. They just seem to be slightly thin in a number of areas in the forward pack. I'm sure we'll see them play an exciting brand of rugby. The ball will get plenty of air with a certain amount of structure to it as well. It's not going to be 7 style, but I do see them opening things up and giving the ball a bit of air. So it's just, will they get enough quality ball for that back line to sort of show the skills that they have, especially later on in the season as injuries strike. I just don't think they've got the depth that some of the other Super Rugby squads have.
Yeah, and especially I think we sort of talked about with the Drua last week, right? They get the easy road in, few Force, few Rebels, bit of Waratah sprinkled in early on. We're going straight into 8 games against New Zealand franchises. Not an ideal way to be starting a new rugby team from scratch. So hopefully they can sort of weather the storm early on, because it's going to be a tough few weeks for them down in Queenstown. And then if they use that experience, and they can maybe make a run for a quarterfinal spot against the once they do get some Australian sides served up to them later on in the season. But is there anyone you had circled, Richard, you think needs to sort of, maybe outside of those experienced names that we talked about, could step up and be a difference maker for them? Or
I'm excited to see Solomon Kate in the centres. You know, big Warriors fan. It's always good to see that. He's a strong ball runner. He's similar to that sort of Nami Mapi build. So it'd be good to see him sort of get out there and just sort of get on the front foot and just give the hopefully give the forwards something to sort of some ball to sort of get behind and secure it. And there's plenty to be excited about in that back line. That Tabatava Nawai, that winger for Tasman, when he got the ball in NPC last year, he was incredible. So I'm really looking forward to sort of seeing what he can do. But I think as Paul said, I think the forwards it's just going to be, they're really lacking some depth in the forwards there, and they might come back to sort of, what New Zealand teams like in the final sort of 10, 15, 20 minutes of the game, might sort of catch up on them. But there is also that kind of the unknown there. There's a lot of people we don't know, so hopefully it'll be a chance for them to sort of put their hand up and show us what they're made of. Yeah,
because I really like what they've done with their sort of selection policy for the most part. They've obviously targeted good performers in the NPC, like a lot of Hawke's Bay names in there, couple of Manawatu players who are really good.
What is it? We're not even half an hour in. Wow.
Well, I'm like just saying. Quite often, there's always a chat at the end of season. It seems like it's like, oh, these guys are great.
They don't get no
NPC,
chance. Yeah.
how did they not get a Super Rugby contract? So it has provided another avenue here for like even Henry Stowers, who was good for Canterbury. Like they've shopped around as well. They haven't just gone for Auckland and counties players, which you do quite often see. But yeah, hopefully there are some of those guys, like the locking department in particular, I think is looking a bit light on, and maybe the loose forwards outside of Jack Lamb. So a few of those guys like Solomone Funaki, who played a pretty limited role for Hawke's Bay off the bench, but has bundles of talent. If he could step into a bigger role, that would be huge for them, I think. Can you see them having enough cattle up front to put up a fight in these early games against the New Zealand sides, Paul, or do you think it'll be just a matter of using that as a learning experience as they get towards the second half of the season?
Yeah, I see them struggling right from the off, to be fair. But look, they do have a number of very, very good players in there. But with any new franchise, it always takes a while for things to get going, unless you're like in the NHL where you get 20 first-round picks or something if you're the Las Vegas Knights, and it gives you sort of you get already up with the top teams from the off. I'm keen to see how Luteru Tolai goes. He was one of the hookers that popped up last season on the try. He has an uncanny knack of finding the way to the try line. He performed very, very well for Northland. And the other one is the Hawke's Bay outside back, Vicinea. I thought he just got better and better as the season went along last year, and he was a big reason why the Ranfurly Shield's still in Magpie country.
That is true. He was electric. So yeah, he's another one. And I'm going to shout out their midfield as well. Levi Amu has been sort of a bulldozer in midfield for Tasman for years now. So hopefully he can get his hands on a bit of ball. And in terms of those younger guys who could take a step forward, Danny Tawala, he was on the Hurricanes books for a couple of years. I think he was a under 20 international for New Zealand. So another guy with plenty of talent. Hopefully him and McClutchy can bring back that connection they had for the Magpies and NPC and take it to the next level, because I think that hopefully, if nothing else, we will see a few of the young guys step up and have star performances. But for you, Richard, what do you think would constitute a successful season for Moana Pasifika? The bookies actually do have them 8th in the outright betting, so by that measure, maybe they're expected to make the quarterfinals. What do you think they should be aiming for from 2022?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the sort of, who's under them, Force, Rebels, Waratahs, Drua, I think they've got a better squad than probably those 4 teams. I think they'll be aiming for the quarterfinals. Yeah, I mean, and it says it from there. Whether they might have a few hiccups along the way, just with that lack of experience and that lack of that lack of physicality, sort of. Well, it's not physicality as such, but it's probably just it's the familiar, the names. They just don't have those sort of big names, and they might sort of come out and upset, but they're going to have a pretty tough start to the season. I think they will go probably 0-8. It'd be hard to see them sort of. So what are they playing?
I think you play 8 games against the New Zealand, so, and not even that. It's the first 3 weeks: Blues, Chiefs, Crusaders. So the top 3.
So they might be able to sneak a win against sort of the Highlanders or the Hurricanes, maybe. But it'll be big as a big outsider. So yeah, I mean, if they make the quarterfinals, that should be their goal, and I'm sure that is their goal. But I think if they don't make it, they won't be too upset. Being the first season.
What would you make their goal for this season, Paul?
I think if they did make the playoffs, it'd be a huge success. I don't think they will make it. I think they're going to be battered and bruised by the end of the New Zealand section of Super Rugby. I think they'll struggle. I'm always very, very keen for getting early runs on the board. And I think the Fijian Drua, with their draw, will have a few runs on the board. And they may be able to build on that. So I'm not saying that I think the Fijian Drua will probably have a more successful season than Moana Pasifika, just because of the start that they will have. I see them picking up a couple of wins early on, as opposed to Moana Pasifika, who I just think are just going to be that sometimes when you get in that sort of, a loss after a loss after a loss, they can start building on. And if you're in a bubble and you rather just be at home with your wife or your partner and your kids, where you can just release, they won't be able to do that in the bubble. And I just think this could build and build on it, and it'll be very hard to turn that around. If they do pick up an early win, well, then that all could change. I just don't see that. As you say, they're playing the top 3 teams in the competition to start the season. It's going to be very, very hard for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Another little thing to think about, I suppose, when we're looking at quarterfinal spots is, while they've probably got more talent than the likes of the Rebels or the Waratahs, they have to play on the New Zealand teams twice, where the Australian teams only play them once, and they get to play the so that is a little tick against them. But I hope we see them, even if they do go 0-8. I hope we see a couple of big performances against Australian sides later in the year, and it gives them something to build on for 2023, and hopefully that'll help with recruitment as well. Maybe get a couple more big names coming back from Europe and stuff like that. You just want something like it's a long-term project, right? So yeah, hopefully they've got something to build on for the coming season.